This episode is proudly sponsored by Outdoor Fitness Bahamas, Naturally Bahamian, and Amber L. Contact us today to learn how you can be a part of the vibration experience. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Vibration, where we empower individuals to speak their distinct truths, passions, and personal message on a global online stage. I'm your host, Michelle McDonald, passionate foodie, author, and entrepreneur. And I want to give a special thank you to our show sponsors, Outdoor Fitness Bahamas, Naturally Bahamian, and Amber L. Tonight, we are continuing with the theme, striving to improve food security and sustainability in the Bahamas, with tonight's topic, modernizing agro-processing for Bahamian farmers and entrepreneurs. We have two guests tonight, and our first one is Regina Smith, who is the CEO and co-founder of Grow the Food Lab, as well as the owner of Firehouse Spice Company, which manufactures locally sourced and produced seasonings, sauces, and condiments. Firehouse Spice has been in operation for 6 years as a wholesaler and retailer, distributing locally to restaurants and stores. Most recently, it has joined the U.S. distribution market, with products being sold in New York and featured on the U.S. Embassy's Washington, D.C. portal, representing the Bahamas. Regina is passionate about sustainable and environmental practices, especially in local application to help the Bahamian economy and its people. Her experience and skill sets are in project management, as well as research and development. Regina is also a facilitator of the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs, hosted by the U.S. Embassy and Small Business Development Center, giving her the tools to achieve company goals. Her network with the University of Virginia and Cornell University provides direct contact with their food science departments and innovation centers. We also welcome Kentisha Ward, who is a co-founder and chief operating officer at Grow the Food Lab, as well as a UN Food and Agriculture Organization's National Lead consultant for the Bahamas. She's also the owner of Pop Stop Gourmet Popsicles, which has been in operation since October 2015, sourcing local fruits and vegetables, which are processed into a final product. She began this business with only $10 and is now wholesaling and retailing to local markets. Pop Stop has also expanded to restaurants, resorts, and local food store chains, creating valuable distribution networks. Kentisha is passionate about entrepreneurship and education. Her expertise range in operations management, marketing, branding, research and development, startups, and agriculture. Kentisha has taught entrepreneurship at BTVI and Queens College's Center for Education for 5 years, consecutively assisting many local startup entrepreneurs. Ladies and co-founders, welcome to the stage tonight.
Thank you for having us. Those intros are so profound. I'm like,
yes, I was glad delighted. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Well, sometimes we don't notice our own greatness, and when we hear it, then we realize we're on the right path.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, because sometimes you're right, we don't remember. And going over the list, I was like, you sure that's me? Thank you so much.
Yes. So, ladies, I must say, when I first heard about the concept of Grow, I was blown away. Providing the first and only FDA-certified commercial kitchen in the Bahamas and allowing farmers, chefs, and producers the opportunity for commercial scale are incredible feats. Tell us more about your journeys to Grow the Food Lab and how it seeks to modernize agro-processing in the Bahamas.
Okay, so I'll start. So Regina and I met probably about 5 or 6 years ago at a trade show. It was a true Bahamian trade show. So if you've ever been to any of their event, we met there. And she was showcasing her firehouse spices, peppers, and jellies. And I was also showcasing my popsicles. And we kept in contact throughout those years through business. So a lot of times we encountered certain challenges, and I would call her and I would say, "Hey, Regina," I have a nickname for her, but she wouldn't allow me to say it online. I'd say, "Hey, Regina, what are some of the like? You wouldn't believe I ran into this challenge. Don't worry, Regina, I won't." I said, "You wouldn't believe I ran into this challenge," and she would say, I ran into the same challenge as well. But we both kind of grew our businesses on our own to the point to where they were ready to export, and we both encountered some challenges. So we came together. And I called Regina. I said, "Hey, Regina, I have a company I have a chain, a grocery chain in the UK who's interested in purchasing my popsicles. Nice. But I'm having some challenges. They have to purchase a container load of popsicles, because if you're transferring frozen items or if you're shipping frozen items, it has to be in a full container." So I had to start thinking. I said, "Well, how much popsicles will fit into a container?" And about 121,000 cases of popsicles will fit into a container. And I started to do the math and say, well, how am I going to be able to achieve this? I then encountered some other challenges. So not only I would have challenges with the logistics, but I would also have the challenge with being able to pass the regulations to be able to manufacture food and also distribute food in the UK, which are also very strict regulations. So it was some capacity building there. So then I phoned over to Regina, and I'm going to pass it over to Regina so she could tell her part of the story and some of the challenges she encountered and how we were able to collaborate and grow together from challenges.
Yeah, so around that same time, Kentisha was having her issues with the UK. I was trying to get my products to Washington, actually, for that same expo. And so they wanted a few cases of Firehouse products, and so we were able to get them there. But I got an opportunity to actually set up a distribution network. And so the distributor was like, Regina, we're excited to have, the first Bahamian vendor on our portfolio, and we want your products here. And so, I slaved in the kitchen for maybe about a week, just processing from the jelly to the hot sauce to the gold pepper powder, just continuous processing and production. And so I loaded up my cases, went to the shipping company, and was able to get it to the US. So I guess I went through the first hurdle, and I got it there. And immediately, once it was landed, US Customs seized everything. Wow. And so the items were seized, and they were seized for testing, because once you import food products into the US, they're gonna test them, or they're gonna seize them. And so I had to send over. Unfortunately, before I started Firehouse, I actually did some research, and I knew that I needed to have my labels at a certain standard if I wanted to get to the export market. I needed to make sure that I had my HACCP plans or my production plans in place. And so once I was contacted by the Food and Drug Administration, and they requested these documents, I was able to provide those. And so they provided the testing for those products. And once they successfully passed their test, they released the items. And so my distributor was then able to pick it up and collect. And so through that experience, we spoke to a lot of individuals. We met a lot of individuals that said, what? For next time, here's what you should do. And so we have those steps and what's in place, and, how to get it over without having those hurdles the next time. And so when Kentisha and I connected, it was our goal not only to share that information amongst ourselves, but to also empower other processors, because, the two of us cannot supply this demand. And so we wanted to be able to pass that information on to individuals and other processors. And so that was the start of Grow. And our goal was to provide a space for, food processors, farmers, and even just entrepreneurs that are looking to scale their businesses, and provide them with the information, the tools, the equipment, and the know-how to really grow their businesses.
That is beautiful. And thank you both so much for sharing your real life stories. We don't really get a peek into what is it like as a Bahamian agro-processor wanting to get out there into the world, the things that you go through and the things that are real. There's no fluff with this. This is the reality. This is a part of being in the business world. And you guys both totally tackled that head on. And the great thing is, not only were you able to find that guidance into how to go about this better and make it easier for you, but also being willing to share that. And that's something that a lot of people don't do. And so I know that's something that the Bahamian economy, especially those in the green economy, will appreciate so much, because you've lived it and you're still living it, and they can learn from that. They can grow from that. So I appreciate Grow's whole and inclusive approach to agro-processing for all islands, no exclusivity, and how it is such an integral and necessary part of the chain that links farmers, food producers, and distributors within the Bahamas. Can you give us insight, for those who are not familiar with agro-processing, into which local crops and product types are involved in this process, as well as which islands farming is most available on?
I think we both can chime in on this, Michelle. I mean, there's so anything that you could pick. I normally say anything you could pick, we could pop, but anything you can grow, we can process. So think about everything. So we're talking about, if you look at the coconut water boys on the side of the road, they have so many products that they could produce just from that one product. If you look at the millions of pounds of onions that go to waste every year from all of the islands,
so true.
They can be processed into onion jellies, onion powders. You could look at the potatoes. I always tell persons, in 2009, the Ministry of Agriculture gave away potato seedlings to a lot of the farmers around the country. Of course, and a few years later, we have an excess of potatoes. But now those potatoes can now be turned into gluten-free flour. The gluten-free flour market is $6.6 billion. And here in the Bahamas, we haven't even started to realize it. So being able to look at everything we grow, whether it's in our backyard or it's on acreage of farmland, how can we process it into a final product so it does not become waste, and so that we as individuals and also the Bahamas can gain more revenue from some of the wastage that we are wasting here in the Bahamas?
I agree. Those are some startling statistics in a good way. I love that about the gluten-free flours, and thinking about products and crops in a totally different way. Did you want to say something, Regina?
Oh, no. I was just agreeing with you guys and saying, yes, I know Tish loves to talk about the gluten-free market, and that's definitely her statistics.
That's the thing.
But like she said, anything we grow, you can process. And it's not just agriculture, it's also in the fisheries industry. So when you think about, just taking, or the average fisherman being able to create value-added products from his business, if he takes the waste and turns it into feed, if he's able to fillet and package those fish, that's now a value-added product. So traditionally, that fish may have been $5, but filleted, packaged properly, and with a label, can now be priced at $25, for instance. And so, that's technically how all of us started. With peppers, I was able to make hot sauce, powdered pepper, seafood seasoning, pepper jelly. So you name it, we made it. And so, that's just how agro-processing works. And so it opens up the doors to so many opportunities for individuals. And so wherever your passion or talent lies is an opportunity for you now to create a product out of that, especially if it's in the food industry.
Yes, and listen, believe it or not, the wastage that comes from fisheries is some of the best fertilizer that you can actually resource. And if you guys know, I'm back with the statistics again, Michelle. If you guys know, Russia is the largest producer of fertilizer, and we know that Russia is currently in a war state, so they're not able to export. No one's able to purchase from them. So how can the Bahamas, which has one of the largest fisheries industry in this region, how can we capitalize off the fertilizer industry, whether it's from coconut husk or snappable, and how can we make more profit or make more revenue off of these value-added products?
Love that, Kentisha. Yes, what I'm getting and I appreciate is the fact that agro-processing is about being creative, thinking about being sustainable. How can I avoid waste in any aspect? But more importantly, how can I take the foods that I like, the food items that are my favorite, and make them even better? So how can I expand on like the natural nutrients, the taste, the colors of it, and make it better and be able to share it with the world, also with my family and my friends in a totally different way. But hey, on the other side, I get to make a profit out of it, right? Because that's what agro-processing is also about. It's a business thing. And so I love that. And the thing is, we see them a lot at the festivals and the trade shows. Kentisha, like how you said, the Bahamian True Festival, True Bahamian Festival. And it's about that. It's about showcasing all of these spices that we love, hot sauce, the pepper jellies, jams, thinking about things in a new way and enjoying them in the same way. And also in a way that actually highlights our culture and our history. Because we love food, right? Bahamians are all about food. We like our spice, we like our flavors, we like our stuff done a certain way. And so being able to create things that highlight that, bring that to the market and sharing that, having that capability is absolutely beautiful, honestly. And knowing that we are doing the earth a good service by not having food waste and, destroying a good product, something that we can see a lot of great value in. So manufacturing and exporting are key aspects of the Grow brand. And it is noted as part of your vision, which is to reduce the barriers of entry to small food and manufacture businesses by providing basic machinery, space, and support for small businesses. It is known that within this economy, as well as others, that these barriers do exist, as we can all tell from the stories that you both shared. Why would you say it's important that these barriers be removed? And how does this connection help the local green economy thrive and expand food security and sustainability in the Bahamas?
All right, so I'll take this one. I think one of the first things that we have to realize is that processing in the Bahamas is expensive. Starting a business in the Bahamas is also expensive. And so one of the barriers of entry that we both encountered in terms of, in our businesses was the ability to scale up. And when you talk about scaling up, you're talking about production capacity. And like I said, on average, I was making about 10 cases a week, but the demand asks for 50 cases in a day. And so before even looking at the export market, we need to look at the ability for Bahamian processors to actually make a shelf-worthy product and what goes into that. And so it's not just the production of the item, but it's also the packaging and the labeling of that item. And so one of the things that Grow is going to provide are the tools needed for this. And so the equipment needs, where you're so used to manual production, we're now going to use advanced technology that allows you to bottle hundreds of bottles in seconds. You're going to have the ability to now, scale up your production requirements. And so this now allows you to not only touch the local market a little bit more, but also an opportunity to export. And when we look at export isn't technically, or doesn't have to involve just taking your product outside the country. With the millions of tourists that we have coming to the Bahamas, you have, you also have the hotels, the Airbnbs. All of these are markets and opportunities for tourists to touch, taste, and also buy your products and take it back with them. And so you want to be able to make sure that the regulations are met for that, and have the proper food standards and food quality in place. And so that is one of the areas that we actually pride ourselves on, providing those resources through our technical capacity, in terms of the equipment, in terms of the training, ensuring the proper product packaging is in place, and also the testing requirement to get your products to a consumable level of production, or to make sure that the consumers feel comfortable when buying your products. Because, sometimes we go to farmers markets and see a jar of something that maybe just has guava jam on it, but there's nothing else. Doesn't tell you what else is in it, and you know that it's supposed to be guava jam, so there's guava in it. But if you want to get your product to that next level, just to get even export, or just to get buyers or local markets to buy into it, or the grocery stores to buy into it, you have to have the proper labeling. And so at Grow, that is one of the areas that we are definitely focusing on, to reduce those barriers of entries for individuals, reduce the cost of production. No longer will you need to buy the commercial stove yourself. You just come into the facility, rent the space time, and that now lowers your cost. So a commercial stove or dehydrator, for instance, the dehydrator is about $16,000 US. So, the average processor may not be able to afford that, but now you can use that space time or the drying time by renting an hour space at the facility. You have the the staff that's going to be there to support you and show you how to use the equipment. And I think Kentisha is saying something, so I'll let her chime in as well. But yes.
Yes, I just wanted to chime in on the, I think one thing that Grow is going to pride itself on is being able to have not only the training, but being able to bypass the overhead that most food entrepreneurs have to experience. For myself, one of the main reasons why Regina and I came together is because we needed a facility to produce our items. And we had already made a commitment that we were going to work together from popsicles to peppers. Now, how are we going to include everything in between? So being able to provide those equipment so other food entrepreneurs do not have to look at renting a space, affording a deposit for a light bill, look at bringing in, like Regina said, their own stoves, their own immersion blenders, their own line tables, their own ranges, their own dehydrators, frozen storage, dry storage, all these things that food entrepreneurs honestly have to think of when they think about scaling up their business. And Michelle, here in the Bahamas, we have so many food entrepreneurs. I always ask them, what's the next step for your business?
And what do they say?
Many of them are not too sure. They want to get into the food stores. They want to get to more festivals. But if you want to have a real business that's going to cater to more than 300,000 people locally, how are you going to be able to support that? With the infrastructure that you have here, with the financing, with the training, all of these things are some of the things that Grow is going to be able to provide. And that's only a small little bit of it. I'm waiting for my question, Michelle, then. This was Regina.
And I think you also have to understand that the demand and supply as well, because, you know, when we look at export, there is a large demand. And so volume is going to become a critical issue. And so another benefit to the economy now is that we can demand from farmers the raw material. So no longer will we just need the wastage. We will now be asking or entering into contracts with farmers saying, hey, I'm producing pepper jelly by the abundance. And so I need to have a consistent supply at this amount of dollars. And so there's no ambiguity in cost. There's no, oh, I don't have it this week, or I'm not sure. No, like you're growing for Regina, you're growing for Firehouse, or you're growing for the Pepper Lady. And you're going to make sure that whenever she calls and says, I need, Kentisha, I need X amount of pounds of peppers, then you're going to be able to supply that. And so we're looking to enhance and improve the entire ecosystem by touching on all of those elements.
Love that. And, you know, that's essentially important, because I can only imagine the small business owner, right? They start off, they're excited, they're ready to go. They're looking at all of the opportunities out there. They see other Bahamians shining and they're like, I want to get in there. And at the start, it seems easy, right? I can start off, I can make about 5 or 10. I love being able to say that it's handmade. You know, I took the time into this. This is made with love, right? This is soul food right now. But when the demand comes, as you stated, Regina, you know, demand and supply, and also Kentisha, when you mentioned all of the different parts, machinery that is needed to make this more of a reality, because at the end of the day, you want to make it a more synchronized process, right? It has to make sense. You want to make it easier for you. There are better ways of doing it than when you had started, and the costs are coming up. And so when Kentisha comes and she asks, like, what's next? Like, you're excited, but then on the other hand, you're just like, how am I going to be able to do this?
Yes. Definitely.
And so I love that Grow has stepped in. They've seen the entrepreneur in every aspect. They're looking out for them. They understand every part that it takes. They're here to guide, but more importantly, they already have the infrastructure there. You are just joining to be a part of that and being able to expand. And then you're also learning from persons that have done it and are continuing to do that. And I love the aspect about the contracts with the farmers, right? So you can talk with them, you can relate with them, you can get your product from different islands, you know, you can expand. And I think it is so amazing for the farmers themselves, because we don't usually hear about contracts when it comes to farmers. A lot of us are familiar with farming, like in our families. We know someone who is a farmer, or we go to farmers market, we got our little, a little hookup right over there. But knowing that you are creating a substantial source of income for them,
definitely.
right? So you as an individual and as an entrepreneur, you are creating a form of food security for them, for the persons who enjoy your products, and also sustainable food, right? The practices that they use to create the crops, like create the quality products that we're selling. And that is awesome,
And
ladies.
I think we definitely want to highlight those farmers because, like, for instance, there's a lady in Auckland, and I don't know if she wants me to say her name, but I usually reach out to her for my sea salt, and I know that she goes and she harvests that salt in that pond. And when she calls me, she says, "Regina, I have your salt ready." Without a doubt, that's going to come on the boat. It's going to arrive in Nassau, and I send her payment. And we've had this relationship now for the last 5 years. And when I say consistency, and accountability, it's there. And so, farming has this stereotype not to be such a glamorous or honest lifestyle. But there are farmers out there, and there are farmers that we have worked along with that are committed and have shown their commitment from the beginning and are separate businesses and now want to be a part of this opportunity as well.
Love that. Yes, yes. Special shout out to all of our farmers on all of the islands. You are doing an amazing job. We appreciate you, and you are a key part of a lot of the products that we have here in the Bahamas. I know that, gratitude and thankfulness may not often come your way, but we want you to know that you are doing an amazing job, incredible. And for those of you who are thinking about farming, if it's ever crossed your mind, it is something valuable to be in. Do not underestimate it. Okay? You're making a difference.
I mean, Shal, if I just may chime in, sorry to interrupt on what Regina said just now. She talked about, being able to make these connections and these contracts with farmers. One of growers' main pillars is being able to source data. So being able to work with these farmers and know what they are and know what they're growing. Being able to develop blockchain capabilities to always know where they are, always know what they have the ability to grow, and always be able to keep in contact with them. So we know that if there's a big tomato project going on, and the hotels may need those tomatoes, we know exactly where those tomatoes are growing. We know how many of them are growing. We know the type of soil from our testing lab that they're growing these tomatoes in. And we know the farmers and their family backgrounds and maybe the acreage that they may have access to where they can grow more. So not only just creating contracts with the farmers, but helping to build the capacity of the farmers and the capacity of the country by being able to source data, valuable data, that other entrepreneurs can use for their businesses as well. Because if we know we have an overflow of tomatoes and we have the data to back that, we now know our next move is processing ketchup or processing tomatoes because we have that data.
Yes, love it, love it, love it. Statistics is not something we have a lot of here. And so being able to have that when it comes to the farmers is incredible. Because I think that honestly, we only go by what we see, right? So when we go to the farmer's market and we see certain products in abundance, we're like, okay, maybe it's this season for this particular item. Maybe there's a bit of an abundance and we don't really go further. But like you stated, there's value in having that data and being able to use it to your advantage, not just as a business, but as a country, and being able to capitalize on that and look at things that we can change, festivals that we can have, things that we can put into place that can emphasize that. Because too, the tourists come down and they come for different parts of our culture and our food, our crops. That's a part of that. And so that makes sense. So I applaud you guys for that. Data is valuable and being able to track that. And most importantly too, I liked how when you spoke about the farmer, you mentioned the acreage and the family and knowing where they come from, what they like to grow, their ethics, everything like that. And so it's really a people thing. We're talking a lot about business, but it's showing that Grow is thinking about the farmers and the producers and the entrepreneurs all on the same level, right? We're all in this together and we're connected. And so it all just has to make sense. So we have a comment from Cristano Davis saying, so true. And Latoya is here showing her support for Regina. So we do appreciate everyone who is on, giving their comments, giving their reactions. We got some loves and some likes. And so that is awesome. Grow seems to have a community approach to making global agribusiness expansion a reality. Grow also supports women entrepreneurs with the necessary training, resources, and knowledge to scale to expand their businesses through workshops and collaboration. I applaud you for this, as women are not often seen or expected to be a part of farming or agriculture, which is a misconception. I love seeing women thrive in this field. As a part of the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs, I had a classmate that had entered the Royal Caribbean taste test, and she was successful with her line, Mommy Sassy's. And she received not just recognition for her product and for being there and the flavors that she brought, but she also receives distribution. This and there is why so many women have a lot to give when it comes to being in this. We don't hear about it enough, but women are thriving. They are out there, they are being bold, and they are more than capable of doing a lot when it comes to being in this sector. Can you tell us more about your individual experiences in agro-processing and why there is much, much more needed to support women in this field?
So, you want me? Okay. All right. So I guess I'll go first. I think for me, when I first started Firehouse, there was a lot of shock as to, why are you doing this? Like, why are you going into this business? You've been to school, you've been to college. Like, why spices? Why? And I remember when I decided to resign from my job to go full time into this, because I did have a vision. My vision was to take Firehouse to an international level. And I realized that I had the capability of doing so. And I think for us as women in business, we are afraid to network and reach out to each other. So we talk about women empowerment a lot, but we are really afraid to really say, I need help. Help me. Like, let me get in contact with someone who is doing the job and ask the right questions. And I remember I spoke to someone that was in the financing space, and she said, something, Regina, you're asking for too little money. And she said, if a male approached me with this idea and this concept for Firehouse, they'd have asked for probably 10 times the amount that you're asking for. And so I think as women, we are sometimes afraid to ask for what we know that we deserve and know the value of our businesses. But we must work together. We must use the networking tools that we have. And so I always tell persons in my entrepreneurship class, like, my circle and my friends are the ones that inspire me and push me. And so when there's questions or there's doubt, they're the ones that are like, you know what, we got you. We're going to make sure that if we have to come out to a market and sell with you, we're going to sell and support your business. And so I think for women in business, we have to understand our worth and our value in this space and in agriculture. We have a place here. We belong here. Our male counterparts will accept us, and they do accept us. And so, when we first introduced our board as well, it was an all-female board. And the question was asked, well, where's the men? Like, why don't you have any men on your board? And it wasn't that we didn't want any. Is when we asked the question, will you support us, and put it in writing, only the women signed up. And so we are proud of our board, and we're proud of the strong women that are supporting us. And even our male counterparts that have now stepped in and said, you know what, we support you. We're enthused and excited to work alongside them. And so we just encourage anyone that's in this space, whether it's male or female, to just stay inspired and stay empowered. And if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. Like, our numbers are posted everywhere. Our email address is everywhere. So if you need us, we're here. Call us, message us, and ask the questions, because, together we can achieve so much more. And I think that's always been our goal. Like, we could do this on our own. We could rock and excel with Firehouse and Pop Stop and have this Fire and Ice team that just takes off without even looking back. But we want to be able to not only empower ourselves, but empower the people that are coming alongside us or even coming behind us. Mm-hmm. That's my 5 cents.
Thank you.
Regina, I don't know if I could fit anything in there, but I definitely will try, right? I think that was a wonderful description exactly about how Grow is focusing on women, and most importantly, Grow focuses on collaboration. For a lot of, like Regina had mentioned before, for a lot of women in entrepreneurship, we get kind of catty, and we want to compete. We want to be able to compete with each other. If this one is making this, we want to be able to make more or make the same thing as they're making. But no one business can do it on their own. The amount of resources that one business can get, they cannot do it on their own. No one business can provide all of the pepper sauces and jellies throughout the Bahamas. no one business can do it, but being able to come together, work together, and collaborate, we now have all of the resources so that each individual business has the opportunity to scale up. But okay, and also chiming in on the women, and a lot of persons say that women aren't interested in agriculture, and agriculture isn't a women thing. Let me tell you, them girls out there are farming and they're digging. And part of the FAO's incubator that we just launched, the Ministry of Agriculture normally states that most farmers are over the age of 60 and they're males. From out of the 115 farmers that we were able to source for our incubator program, more than 50% of them were women, and more than 50% of them were under 35. So I can tell you that a lot of agriculture is changing. It's not the same. So you have a lot more sexy and cute farmers. It isn't all about the boots in the dirt. Maybe it's about collecting chicken eggs, or picking your
even
peppers.
bees. I see the bees now too.
Yes.
The bees sector of agriculture has blossomed so much that we have so many beekeepers on the islands of Grand Bahama. They now have a beekeeping cooperative. They now have, I think it's a beekeeping university that they have. Someone just launched.
Yes.
And all of that was launched by a woman. Would you believe it? So women are doing some amazing things in the agricultural industry. And I can say that a lot of women are timid in doing business because sometimes, like Regina said, we get a lot of pushback. You're a girl, how can you do it? A lot of persons have approached me and they say, how come you always keep going? How women ain't supposed to keep going like that? Why? My rent's still going. My light bill's still going. All these things are still going. So how come women are not supposed to keep going? And I think that was always my attitude from since I started my popsicle business with just $10 and a soursop off my Grammy's tree. I had an idea to change the way how we think about entrepreneurship. Because I could have chosen to start any sort of consulting firm. I could have chosen to start a convenience store, a car rental company. I could have chosen a million things to start with the capacity that I had at that time. But I chose to start a business with $10, and I wanted to start cupping baggies, Michelle. I didn't want to start popsicles. I wanted to start selling cupping baggies, right? Because that's what we grew up on. We grew up on cupping baggies.
Yes, that's what we know.
How can I show people that something so simple can go so far? So anytime I tell a story, I talk about the $10 story because that's all I had. I didn't have anything else besides $10 and the soursop and some baggies. Now, how can I take that to now distributing to different grocery stores, major hotels, and now potentially exporting? I only did it because when people said that I couldn't do it, I showed them that I can. And a lot of the time as a woman, everywhere you go, persons tell you, hey, you can't do this. You can't do this. When we showed up with our all-female board, they say you don't have a man on your board. Persons aren't going to respect you, or people aren't going to respect you as a business. And at first, Regina and I were taken back, but we took it as a move to push forward. Because if we have these women supporting us, we can't let them down. So we have to continue to follow through. So women are moving up more and more inside of the business sector, and especially in the agricultural sector. And Grow is here to support everyone, but especially women.
There we go. I love that. Yes, support. That is what it is all about. Also changing the narrative when it comes to agriculture. It's not just about persons that are over 60 who are male. It's about the women under 30 out there, committed, dedicated, being persistent like you, Kentisha and Regina. They have a passion for what they're doing, and they're here to make a difference, to make their company name known, them as individuals, and changing what agriculture is truly all about. And so I appreciate that. And also for mentioning, what people thought about having an all-female board, what they thought that it meant, and, for some reason thinking that it lacked something, but what it had was women who from the get-go were committed, and they understood what grow meant, what it is going to grow into, and wanting to represent that in every way. So Deandra Smith says, awesomeness, keep up the amazing work, ladies. And I couldn't agree with her more. You guys are really, really making your voices heard and making a difference when it comes to agriculture here. Regina, do you want to say something? No. All right, cool. All right. So we all know that knowledge is power. Grow believes in this by incorporating training and facilitation for producers to show their agriculture-based products locally and internationally. What difference do you think that this is going to make in the lives of Bahamian producers when it comes to marketing their products and also feeling prideful in their business wherever they go?
All right, so I'll go with this one. I think training has definitely been an integral part of our business model from we started. I guess as individuals as well, we took the time out to learn our recipes, learn the industry standards, and education is one of those things that just keeps on evolving and keeps on enhancing. And so I think for us, we pride ourselves on having a focus on an area specific to training and education that not only deals with the production of your item, but also in terms of the labeling and the packaging requirements, because those laws change. Laws and regulations have changed even over the last year. I think Kentisha can even relate a little bit more to that about, her experience with the EU registration and the regulations and how, just one item or one what was it? One testing or one vitamin testing had to be added to the labels now. And so just that change over the last year has affected now the labels that you produce for any item that's being exported to the UK. And so education and the continuity of it is important in our business model, and we want individuals to understand that this is not just a come here, make it and leave. This is come here, create your business and then grow with your business. Grow, learn, and expand your mental capacity, and also the effectiveness and efficiency of your business. And so you're making it in your kitchens now, and it's home based, because that's how we all started, and that's where we're still at. But our goal is to now have this facility and this entity that takes us along this journey of where we actually see our businesses grow and pass that threshold. Because for some reason, businesses usually stay at this point where, you're making a couple thousand, you're staying afloat, it's good, but to get to that next point, like what's that next level of $100,000 profit? Like, how do you get there? And so I think with education and having the resources available is a big part of it. And so, with our university connections, with our local connections, with academia, and also the local diaspora that is educated in either food safety, packaging, and those needs as well, our network and our database includes those individuals and those organizations. And so where we lack, we have the resources to find the information. And so, we are a team of two, and we understand our challenges as well in terms of staffing and capacity. But we also have a network of individuals from various universities, like Cornell University, University of Virginia, just to name two. And then we also have our local academia. We have BAMSI, our resources there, BAIC. And so all of these entities play a major part in growth and the training capacity and the ability to educate individuals. So Kentisha, you want to chime in?
No, I just wanted to say, don't forget FAMU. Also working with FAMU. FAMU is one of the leading agricultural universities in South Florida, and we've been delighted to be on numerous calls with them to have their mentorship and their consultancy to assist us with building out the facility that is required to actually enhance our agricultural sector here in the Bahamas.
Yes, definitely. Sorry, I did not want to forget them. But so like we said, education is important, and our network shows that we have really taken focus and considered that area. And so wherever we lack in those areas, we have the resources and the capacity to find the information. And so, training is an important area. So we're delighted to also take part in courses to really strengthen our skills and our knowledge base.
Thank you for that. And I appreciate the fact that you, as the CEO and then also the COO, you both believe in continued education. So it's not only about, okay, what can we incorporate into grow as a business and looking out for the entrepreneurs, but you're also walking the walk and talking the talk. So you also are keeping up with the latest regulation changes, with the testing, training for yourselves, what is needed, how can we make this better, how can I be better, and how can we provide a more well-rounded training perspective for the entrepreneurs who are coming up and out. They're not familiar with what the next steps are and just preparing them for that. And of course, those international connections don't hurt at all. They come from a perspective that we don't have, of being able to provide that knowledge so that we can be at that level and grow, can be at the capacity to supply what it is that you want and be able to fulfill your vision. And so, of course, Regina, as you stated, it not only takes the small business owners products out of the kitchen or out of their home, but also their mindset, right? Because we can easily have our visions created small, feel like we're in a box just because of where we started. So you're like, okay, if I'm a home-based business, I make a certain amount right over here, and this is okay. This is okay. This is a capacity that I can do right now. But with Grow the Food Lab, you are taking them out of that space, looking at the vision that you have, what it is that you wanted to do, and being able to achieve that easily, and being able to connect with persons that are willing and able to guide you with that. And so that is amazing. I really appreciate that you guys do focus on training, because it is something essential for entrepreneurship. And I love the fact that you guys understand that.
And Michelle, knowing, Regina and I both being teachers, I think we always, teachers and entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs first, and then we became teachers. So as entrepreneurs, here in the Bahamas, you're kind of tasked of figuring things out and finding your way around things, especially in the food business. You don't know where to go next, and what the next step is. So naturally, being teachers, we encountered all of these challenges as entrepreneurs. Now, our biggest goal is how can we assist other persons with getting over these common challenges? Because it isn't that it's just challenges that are unique to Regina and I. These are common challenges. These are HACCP planning challenges. These are food safety regulations. These are just how your label should be placed on your jar. How you should source your coconut jelly from your coconut safely. All these different types of training, we now could focus on being able to enhance the knowledge capacity, not only the technical capacity, but also the knowledge capacity of the processors and also the farmers.
And I think one more thing that I wanted to say before I guess we move on is, a lot of persons pride themselves on being the best, barbecue sauce maker, or even hot sauce makers. And so they all have their own small batch home-based recipes. But when you're talking commercial consumption and taking that product now to the wider market, you need longer shelf life. You need stabilizers. You may need additives. And so to understand the science of what goes into your food to actually make it shelf stable too is also an important component. And so while we talk about food safety, we also have to understand that there is a science mechanism that, is technical, that we may not have the capacity to really understand, but we have the resources available that can tell someone, hey, if your recipe, if you're making barbecue sauce and you have, let's just say vinegar, for instance, in your barbecue sauce, maybe let's go hot sauce. If you're making hot sauce, you have a hot sauce base, a vinegar-based hot sauce, there's a certain pH that your hot sauce needs to be at to make it also shelf stable. And then there may be some additives that may have to go into it to either thicken it or to make it shelf stable or to last a little bit longer. So all of those things are components that we want individuals to understand when they think about taking their business to the next level. What does that home-based business look like? And do I want to take it there? Because some people in reality may just remain a home-based business and are comfortable with that. And that is okay too, because there is a market for those individuals as well. But if you're looking to scale up and take your business to the next level, this is an opportunity now for you to, to come in and to learn and to how to grow your business, no pun intended. But yes.
Thank you for that, Regina. Yes, there truly is a science aspect of it. It can get very technical. That is not something that is talked about often. As you stated, we stick a lot to our home original formulation. This is our baby. We don't want to change this for anything. But the reality of it is, if you want to expand, if you want to reach global markets, if you want to have distributorship of a particular level, you will have to make some slight changes that are not abnormal, but are necessary to get to that level. And it's not, the good thing is to just not think about it as like, I'm changing the product or I'm changing what I started with. Not at all. What you're doing is just getting your product more ready for the market that you want to reach. And that's it. better for you, better for your business, all of those clients that are become loyal clients and they're going to love your product. You're just being able to incorporate the science that demands it to be able to reach that point. And so thank you so much for mentioning that. So we have heard so much about grow, everything that it supports, the persons that it connects, how it is such an essential aspect of different aspects of the economy here in the Bahamas. So let us know what is next, if there's anything coming up, and how can we show our support to grow the food lab.
Okay, so let me tell you what's next. A lot of exciting things. Before I tell you what's next, let me tell you what we already did. So on November of last year, November of 2021, Regina and we launched Grow the Food Lab officially on the Arawak X crowdfunding platform. And we launched the raise for a $1.8 million raise to build out our entire facility. So now what we're working on in the next couple of months, we're working on our phase one of Grow the Food Lab. And also being able to reach out to other persons in the industry and form partnerships. One of the things Regina mentioned before is our local support and our international support. So to continue to foster those partnerships and those supports so we can continue to grow in time for our next phase. So we're looking at offering a few different trainings. We're also looking at working with different partnerships, maybe working with schools to enhance their processing capacity. So we're working together to be able to grow outside of the facility until we get the facility. By the end of the year, we're hoping to launch again on the Arawak X platform to gain our raise so that we could actually break ground. We've already received about 3 acres of agricultural land that we can work with so that we can actually build out this vision. So I want you guys to stay tuned to our page and also to Michelle's page because she keeps us very close to her. Don't get jealous, everybody. Stay tuned for our next crowdfunding raise because we are going to be going back so that we could raise our $1.8 million so that we could build out this vision. And also stay tuned to our projects that we'll be working on in the meantime to actually grow outside of the facility and grow in the community.
Love it. So congratulations, ladies, first of all, for everything that you have accomplished, that you have done, getting that acreage of land, being on the Arawak X platform. And also, all I'm hearing is impact, reaching out to those schools, helping the students who are already into agriculture and they want to know, what is my next step, guiding them, showing them the possibilities, even at that young age, because, often they would feel like, okay, the next step always has to be college or a certification. But if they understand that they can start with what they have now, with what they know now, and receiving the level of training that you all are willing to provide, I know it's going to make a huge difference because we already know of a lot of schools out there, HO Nash, CV Bethel, and other schools who have a thriving agricultural department, and the students are there, they are willing, they are passionate. And so I know that you will get a good response from those students who really want to learn, they want to get out there more.
Yes, definitely. I also think, and if you are thinking about, going to college and you want to get into this agricultural industry too, food science is an area that is really untapped, and we need more Bahamians, studying and getting their either biology degrees or chemistry degrees for food science to understand the chemistry and the science behind food. And so we've been fortunate enough to meet a young lady that has been working alongside us as a volunteer, and she's so excited and so ready for Grow to start. But I know, so she has a degree in food science, and she's working in a field that's not related to food science right now. So she's really, hoping and praying that we're opening soon for her. But Alexis, we appreciate her support and definitely love working along with her. And so we want more young persons that are, not taking the traditional route of maybe being a general practitioner, but now getting into that food science and using those chemistry degrees for other areas and for the agricultural space. So definitely a promising future, and we're excited to continue to grow those networks and work alongside individuals. And like I said, if you have questions, you know how to reach us. Our social media pages are there. Our faces and our names and our numbers are everywhere. So do not hesitate to reach out to us.
Yes, a special shout out to Alexis, girl. You are doing amazing things. Food science. Wow, wow, wow. And as we mentioned, science is a huge part of this whole pie graph of what it takes with agro-processing and certain
Mm-hmm.
aspects of agriculture. And so, yeah, young people, this is the place to be. This is the place to be. Regina and Kentisha, I have enjoyed your presence here on the show tonight. Thank you so much for bringing to the forefront the mission, vision, and goals of Grow the Food Lab, which connects succinctly with improving food security and sustainability in the Bahamas. We appreciate your focus on Bahamian women in agro-processing and for also having a community approach that connects farmers, chefs, producers, and distributors. This is a much needed link to modernizing agro-processing in the Bahamas, reducing food waste, and creating a more sustainable Bahamas. To connect with Regina or Kentisha regarding involvement or more information about Grow the Food Lab, you can contact them at 242-814-0416 or 242-477-6310. You can also email them at growbahamas@gmail.com. And of course, their Facebook and Instagram pages, which I will mention in the comments below. They are open and ready to hear from you guys. They are continuing to be an inspiration. So I encourage you all to take advantage of that with these fabulous women of Grow the Food Lab. This episode is proudly sponsored by Amber L, Naturally Bahamian, and Outdoor Fitness Bahamas. A special thank you to our audience for watching, commenting, sending their reactions, and to our guest speakers, of course, Regina Smith, CEO of Grow the Food Lab, and Kentisha Ward, Chief Operating Officer of Grow. If you missed the first half of this episode, you can watch the full replay and also leave a heart at the bottom. Follow this page for more show updates and join us next week for another episode of Vibration, where we raise your frequency and amplify your truth. See you next week.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.